So in this video what we're going to do is going to talk about your wrists and how they have a massive influence on lag. So there is a thing that amateur golfers very much do, and there is a thing that better golfers and professional golfers very much do, and we're going to explain exactly what you need to start doing in this video. First of all, just for confirmation, what we mean by lag is this sort of angle created between the lead arm and the club. And what we see with the professionals is they seem to look like they hold onto this angle for much later or longer, as opposed to most amateurs have a tendency for this angle to sort of release as they initiate the downswing. Now, the funny thing is, what you don't do to hold on to lag is make a conscious effort to sort of bring the club down as I'm demonstrating like so, because that's not what needs to happen. There's two movements that we need to understand. The first one is that we need to make sure we understand the functionality of the trail arm, okay? So what we need to make sure is that the relationship between both your upper and your lower arm doesn't get any closer than 90 degrees. So this is a bad position, this is a good position, even wider is a brilliant position. Now, by maintaining that width and then allowing this arm to move to the side of the body, what that does is it brings the club into a really good delivery position. And funny enough, actually allowing this arm to straighten whilst allowing your upper arm to move to the side of you is what gives us this ability to hold on to lag. If you're somebody who doesn't move this upper arm to the side of you, that's why you will lose lag, okay? So that's the first thing very much to understand. Now, you can't just do that on its own though. Okay, what we also need to do is we need to feel like we are moving towards very much our sort of lead side as we come in towards the downswing. And a really good way to sort of work on this is to start focusing when you start this downswing. If you're going to focus on this type of motion here, okay, so this upper arm is going to move like so. If you allow your chest to turn towards the target, what you'll start to notice is as your chest turns, it'll bring your right shoulder around, and that will equally get you into a much better position of this delivery. So what I mean by that is if I don't move my chest and I bring my upper arm, that kind of gets me into this position. Okay, so it's still not going to be holding onto loads of lag, I'm still going to hit the ball a bit like so. But if I can get the feeling of moving this way as I turn my chest towards the target, then you can start to see the way that moves my trail shoulder, and that means I can get the feeling of throwing this club here if I want to. Okay, I can drop that club down, but as long as I turn, see the way it brings the club very much around. Now, just one little side note, because what happens is, with students I get the chance to work with, I talk a lot about width, and I give them lots of drills and exercises to really understand width. And one of the common terminologies in golf is this feeling of throwing the club. You've got to be kind of careful a little bit with that, okay? Because if you start to just sort of feel like you're just going to throw the club like so, the whole thing can start to look quite limp, and that's not what should happen. So in golf, we want to apply an element of what's then like an extension to the club, okay? So we want to feel like when we're set up, our arms are nice and straight. In the backswing, we want to feel like we're pushing the club away from us. As we come down, we want to feel like we're pushing it down and we're pushing it through. So if you imagine sort of throwing a ball, you would always be applying force outward. You wouldn't just sort of like do this sort of thing. So all I'm saying is when you are practicing these sort of feelings of throwing, you want to make sure it's not just like some sort of loosey-goosey type throwing action. And the best way to ensure you don't do that is to do that sort of Rory McIlroy drill. So if you take hold of the club about shoulder width apart, split handle grip, and what you can do is in the backswing you can then swing that back and make sure you feel like you're pushing your arms away from you, and then as you start the downswing, push them down to the ground, and that's the correct action for throwing the club. And you can simultaneously turn your chest as you do that, because that will bring the club around. See you soon.